We've been talking about motivational theory. Let's put the theory into action as to how it goes through. Job enrichment. A lot of times people come in, they do the same job. It gets boring after a while. So there's different tools you as a leader can go through and have some enrichment in the job where you get the worker to be motivated by the job itself. A lot of jobs are really interesting, but we forget about the interest because they're coming in day after day and doing the same thing. I did it yesterday, I did it the day before. Motivate them. Okay, increase the level of responsibility, give them a goal and a target to reach, and then give them recognition, whether it's an intrinsic or extrinsic. Do something about it to sit down there and have the employee go through and be better suited when it comes down to job enrichment. There's really a bunch of characteristics you can go through on job enrichment. Look on the skill variety, the task identity, the significance of the task, the autonomy. Give them more autonomy to do the job according to how they think it should be structured, and provide them feedback as to what you're looking for on a regular basis. A lot of times you want to enlarge a job and make it bigger. And then you have job rotation, you do different things. One time I was a principal of a K-12 school, and in the summertime, it didn't pay very well because it was a parochial school. So I'd have to go out and find a job every summer. So I went and I worked in a factory one time on the afternoon shift. I was on an assembly line and it was injection molding. So we'd have to set up a mold, open it up, put a screen on top of it to sit down and be part of the part. And then the next person would go through, they would shoot foam into it, and the foam would expand. And the next person would have to sit down and get the actual mold. And as the foam's expanding, hurry up and close the lid and lock it shut to make sure that it only stays inside of that box. And then the next person move it down into the line itself while it's set there and cured. And we keep on moving nonstop. After a while, it was boring because click, click, push the buttons, push the three buttons in the proper sequence, click, 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 click. Okay, you go through down the line. Okay, and you're tired of it. So we decided on our own, we got approval from the boss, let's change our jobs. So we went from doing this job to this job and everything else. One night, it was 11 o'clock. We got out at 11:30. It's 11 o'clock. Our brains are fried. We're exhausted from a day of work. I was moving the heavy boxes down the assembly line. The guy working the injection machine, he sat down there and he put his machine on and click, 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 and he pushed the wrong button. I heard the button. I thought, you better check that. There's a problem with that. No, I got it. I said, I'll fix it. I says, I don't think you turned it off. Oh, I got it. He went back and he unscrewed the nozzle without turning off the machine. And all of a sudden, a huge big block of polyurethane foam shot out. It covered his entire face, his beard, and right in front of us, his beard started growing because polyurethane grows when it's exposed to air. It gets bigger. His beard was up here, and then it got bigger until finally his beard was hanging down the middle of his chest. Black urethane foam, and he'd stand there. It wasn't hot. It was cool. It was one of the most humorous things I know. It shouldn't have happened and everything else. It was so funny because of the fact that he grew a giant beard in front of us. His outfit was covered in black polyurethane. He went home and he came back the next day with his beard shaved off. There was no injury because it wasn't hot, it wasn't cold, didn't hurt his skin at all. But he shaved off his beard and nobody knew who he was. Who's the new guy and everything else? He was probably one of the most ugliest men I ever saw in my life. So he grew his beard back as fast as a kid because his kid saw him without a beard and the baby started crying. So it's kind of a frightening thing. So that was job rotation, a fun experience, kind of in a way, at least for those of us that didn't get covered in polyurethane. So job enrichment is about going through and having some enjoyment on the job, doing different parts of the job as they go through. And a lot of people want to sit down and do things differently. 60% of employees think they can be more productive and efficient outside of an office. 66 would take a lower paying job if it came with more flexibility. We'll see with the changes of 2020 with the COVID season, how we're going to have different ways to motivate employees to do the job. A lot of times you have a lot of open communication. That's one of the best ways of getting feedback from employees. Create a culture that rewards listening. Here you are in the process of getting an education. Have you ever once had a class on listening? What was that? I didn't hear you. I'm listening. That being said, it's a big deal. Train managers to listen to the employees. Use effective questioning techniques. Remove barriers to open communication. Have your door open, but really keep it open. Plop yourself down next to a chair with one of your employees. I used to sit down every once in a while as a vice chancellor. I go sit down next to an HR specialist, somebody that's 2 or 3 levels lower than my position, and would drive my managers crazy because I'm undercutting them. I'm listening to the employees, the ones that really do the job, and I actually responded to them to make the workplace better for them, for them to become more productive and actually enjoy the work more. Make it easy to communicate. Ask the employees, what's important to you? It's a big deal. You're a new manager. The employees think your predecessor didn't care. You don't want the same reputation, but you don't want to be a pushover either. What do? Work with the group and develop 5 ways to reward employees. It can be a formal program with nominations, or one you and the others, they recognize the employees' work. Be creative in the process out there. Find ways to recognize a job well done. Have the different aspects of it. Go through advancement opportunities, challenging work, positive actions. Notice them out loud. Paid time off, prime parking spots. Okay, employee of the year. You put it over there. Make certain employee of the year isn't a popularity contest. Make certain employee of the year is all about recognizing the employee that does the best and most work in the process. Forget the politics, because a lot of times the politics overwhelms the reality, and some pretty bad people get named employee of the year because they had a popularity vote rather than a productivity vote in the process. Flexible schedules, a small equity stake or stock options. Either way, take the theories in this chapter that we've talked about and put them into action by having job enrichment, flexibility, and a lot more communication. Take care.